My mom thought she could replace my father and make me call her creepy new boyfriend Dad, but she didn't realize I still had contact with him. I was 13 when my mother got engaged to Brandon. Dad had been convicted for manslaughter 5 months ago. He called someone at the bar, but he wasn't even drinking. I was there with him. He went into the bathroom, then came out minutes later, looking panicked and covered in blood. He shouted for someone to call the police, and they arrived quickly. But then, without saying much, they put him in handcuffs and took him away. The next time I saw him was behind bars. It never made much sense, though. Dad never had a violent bone in his body. He swore he didn't do it, and the way Mom acted after his conviction made me even more suspicious. She brought home Brandon instantly. On day 1, she said he was my new dad, since the other one was clearly a monster, and told me that my dad was a killer who I needed to distance from for my own safety. I wasn't sure what to believe at first, but when 5 months later, my mom announced to me that they were engaged and I needed to start calling Brandon Daddy, I became quite convinced of Dad's innocence. Around this time is also when it started. Brandon got comfortable. He began staring at me while eating slowly, saying things like, "You're growing up so fast, becoming such a pretty young woman." The worst part was my mom thought it was sweet. Even when I told my mom for the first time that Brandon made my skin crawl, she told me I was dramatic. She must have told him what I said though, because that night while she slept, Brandon came into my room and he grabbed my wrist hard enough to leave marks and said, "You know what happens to naughty girls who snitch?" I was terrified, but I knew I couldn't trust my mom by telling her, so I kept it a secret. I also started keeping a different secret around this time. I started writing letters to Dad. I'd hide them between my textbook pages and mail them from my friend's house after school. Dad would write back through the prison email system to an account I created without Mom knowing. Things got really bad one specific Thursday, though. I came home from school one day to find out Mom had changed my last name on all school records to Brandon's without telling me. "You'll thank me when you're older," she said. That night, Brandon came into my room to celebrate being a real family now and sat on my bed. He put his hand on my thigh and said I should be grateful to have a dad who cares. I pushed him off and locked myself in the bathroom until he left. I remember writing to Dad about that incident. The letter I got back from him was on real paper this time, and parts of it were damp and see-through, almost as if he had cried while writing it. That almost broke me. But luckily, there was one thing I looked forward to: the chance to see him. His birthday was coming up, and I remember enthusiastically asking Mom if I could visit him. I told her I knew she didn't like him, but it was his birthday. "Just today, and for a few minutes, please," I said. But of course, I got told no. Actually, I got told something even worse. Mom said we couldn't go, because that exact weekend, Brandon coincidentally had car show tickets and expected us all to go together. He specifically requested us to have adjoining hotel rooms. When I told them I'd rather visit Dad, Mom exploded. "He's a killer." "You're not visiting a murderer." When I said, "He's innocent, and he's still my dad." Brandon backhanded me across the face while Mom watched. She said nothing. I was forced to go with them that weekend, and while I was sleeping, the worst happened. Brandon snuck in. He was drunk, and this time, he didn't restrain himself to just a thigh grab. His hand went all the way. I had never felt so disgusting and humiliated. I remember traveling home broken. And to make matters even worse, the week we came home, my mom found the hidden letters from Dad I had been hiding. She burned them in the backyard, and as punishment for communicating with him, she took my bedroom door off its hinges for monitoring. Of course, Brandon took this as an opportunity. He would stand in the doorway at night, watching me sleep. I remember that was a real breaking point of mine. I remember sneaking off into the school library past hours the next day to email DDA. I must have sent an hour-long email that made no sense because I just rambled about everything. I didn't know what I expected, if I even wanted anything because I was so numb. But then 2 weeks later, I got a reply from him. It was lengthy, super lengthy, telling me all the right things and how everything was going to be okay. But there was one thing that stuck out. "Did you check where?" I said. I became confused. Check where? I started going through every single email he had ever sent me, and that's when I found it. In one of the more recent emails, Dad had told me to go up to the attic and behind the radiator. I remember reading that email the day after asking my mom if I could go visit him. I think I was too heartbroken to read thoroughly, and somehow missed it. Either way, I made a big times mental note of what Dad said and waited until Mom and Brandon went on date night. That happened next week. My hands shook climbing into the attic with a flashlight. And behind the radiator, I found a plastic-wrapped journal. I opened it to the marked page Dad told me to. It was dated weeks before Dad's arrest, and in Dad's handwriting it said, "It's been a few weeks since I caught Lauren and Brandon sneaking off into the bar. I don't know how to confront her." I was shocked, taken aback, and that's when I heard the sound of a car pulling into the driveway that made my blood run cold. They were back early. I was 13 when my world split into two. Before Brandon and after Brandon. Before him, life was heavy but simple. My dad was my best friend, a quiet man who taught me how to skip rocks and make perfect grilled cheese. But then came the night. Everything went wrong. Dad and I had gone to a bar together, not to drink, but because he wanted to meet a friend about a construction job. I remember the glow of the neon lights, the clinking of glasses, and the faint smell of beer. He told me to stay near the jukebox while he went to the bathroom. He was gone for maybe 5 minutes, and when he came back, he looked like he'd seen a ghost. His hands were shaking. There was blood on his shirt. Before I could even ask, people started screaming. Someone had been stabbed. The police arrived fast. They didn't even let him speak. They handcuffed him right there in front of me. I'll never forget his face through the police car window. Confused, terrified, mouthing the words, "I didn't do this." 5 months later, he was convicted of manslaughter. Mom barely cried at the trial. She just sat there, lips pressed tight, as if she'd already moved on. And she did, faster than anyone could imagine. Within weeks of the sentencing, she brought home a new man. Brandon. Brandon was nothing like my dad. He was loud, smirky, the kind of man who laughed at his own jokes and called waitresses "sweetheart." Mom told me, "This is your new dad now. You'll call him that, okay?" Her tone made it sound less like a suggestion and more like an order. That's when I started to realize maybe Dad's arrest wasn't what it seemed. Because Mom didn't act like a grieving wife. She acted like someone who had been waiting for this. At first, Brandon played the part of nice stepdad. He brought me gifts, chocolate, cheap bracelets, new notebooks. But soon, the stares started. Long, uncomfortable ones. He'd say things like, "You're growing up so fast. You're going to break hearts someday." He'd lick his spoon while staring at me over dinner. When I told Mom, she rolled her eyes. "Oh, stop being dramatic. He's trying to be nice." But then, that night, while she slept, Brandon came into my room. He grabbed my wrist so hard I felt his nails dig into my skin. He leaned close, breath sour with beer, and whispered, "You know what happens to little girls who lie about good men?" I didn't sleep that night. I didn't tell Mom again, because I knew she wouldn't care. Instead, I started writing to Dad. I'd sneak the letters out of the house, mailing them from my friend Kayla's place after school. Eventually, we found a way to email through the prison system using an account Mom didn't know about. Dad's messages became my lifeline. They reminded me that someone out there still loved me, still believed me. Then, things got worse. One Thursday, I came home to find that Mom had legally changed my last name, from my father's to Brandon's, without asking. "You'll thank me when you're older," she said. That night, Brandon came into my room again. He sat on my bed, his hand sliding onto my thigh. "Now, we're a real family," he said, smiling that rotten smile. I shoved him off, locked myself in the bathroom, and sobbed until sunrise. I wrote to Dad again, this time telling him everything. The bruises, the fear, the name change, the man pretending to be my father. A week later, I got a letter from him on paper. Real paper. His handwriting was messy, shaky, and the page was crinkled, like it had been wet with tears. He apologized over and over. He told me to stay brave. But one line stood out. Check where I said. At first, I didn't understand. I reread every single message he'd ever sent. Buried in one from weeks ago, there it was. A small note I'd overlooked. "If you ever need proof, look behind the radiator in the attic." The next time Mom and Brandon went out, their usual date night, I climbed into the attic with a flashlight, heart hammering. The air was thick and dusty, cobwebs brushing my face. I found the radiator, and behind it, wrapped in plastic, was a journal. Dad's handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened it to the marked page. The date was weeks before his arrest. It read, "It's been a few weeks since I caught Lauren and Brandon sneaking off together after work. I don't know how to confront her. She denies everything, but I know what I saw. Lauren, my mom." My throat closed. The words blurred in front of my eyes. That's when I heard it, tires crunching on the gravel driveway. They were home early. I barely had time to shove the journal under the insulation before I heard Brandon's voice downstairs. "Babe, I think she's up there." Every hair on my body stood on end. I turned off my flashlight and crawled to the darkest corner of the attic, praying he wouldn't come up. I could hear their footsteps creaking on the stairs. My mother's voice was cold and sharp. "You've been snooping again, haven't you?" Something in me broke that night, because now I knew the truth. My father was in prison because he caught them. And Brandon wasn't just her new boyfriend. He was the reason my dad lost his freedom. The rest of that night is a blur of panic, sirens, and shouting. But I'll tell you this. When the police came the next morning after my anonymous call, I handed them the journal. And for the first time in years, I saw fear in their eyes, not mine. Story. My fiancé texted, "Wedding's still on, but I'm spending the last few nights before with my ex for closure." I replied, "Do what you need to do." Then I called the venue and canceled everything. She found out at her bachelorette party when the venue called her about the cancellation. And then I, 29 male, got the text from my fiancée Brooke, 27, on a Wednesday afternoon while I was at work. We were supposed to get married that Saturday, 3 days away. The full message read, "Hey babe, just wanted to be transparent with you. Derek reached out and we've been talking. He's going through a rough time with his dad's cancer diagnosis and needs support. I'm going to spend Thursday and Friday night at his place just for closure before our big day. Nothing will happen. I promise. The wedding's still on. Love you, Derek." Her ex of 4 years, who she'd sworn she was completely over when we started dating 2 years ago. I read it 3 times. Then I typed back, "Do what you need to do." She responded immediately, "OMG, you're the best. I knew you'd understand. This is why I'm marrying you. So mature and secure. Can't wait to be your wife on Saturday." I put my phone down and stared at my computer screen for about 5 minutes. Then I picked it back up and started making calls. First call, the venue. "Hi, this is Thomas Reed. I have a wedding booked for this Saturday. I need to cancel it." The coordinator sounded shocked. "Oh my, is everything okay? You'll lose your deposit." "That's fine. Cancel everything. The catering, the flowers, the DJ, all of it." "Sir, are you sure?" "That's nearly I'm sure. Please process the cancellation immediately." Second call, the honeymoon resort in Hawaii. Canceled. Lost another deposit. Didn't care. Third call, my best man, Jordan. "Dude, wedding's off. Can you let the groomsmen know what?" "What happened?" I forwarded him the text. He was quiet for a long moment then. She really thought you'd be cool with that apparently. "What do you need me to do?" "Already handled it. Just let the guys know." By 6 p.m., everything was canceled. I'd already moved my stuff out of our apartment while she was at work. Her bachelorette party was that night. Convenient timing. I'd only taken what was mine. Left her engagement ring on the kitchen counter with a sticky note for closure. The beauty of it. Brooke's maid of honor, Gretchen, worked at the venue as an events assistant. She wasn't working that day, but her coworker would definitely mention the cancellation when it processed through their system. I turned off my phone and went to Jordan's place to wait. Update 1. The explosion started at exactly 9:23 p.m. Jordan was monitoring social media. I'd blocked everyone preemptively. According to him, Gretchen had posted a story from the bachelorette party. Them all in matching bride tribe shirts at some rooftop bar. Happy celebrating, oblivious. Then at 9:23, the venue's after-hours system sent an automated confirmation email to Brooke about the cancellation. She'd insisted on being copied on all vendor communications to stay organized. Jordan showed me Gretchen's next story posted at 9:31. Emergency. Does anyone know where Tom is? The texts to Jordan started at 9:35. I had him screenshot everything for entertainment purposes. "Gretchen, is Tom with you?" Brooke is freaking out. "Yeah, he's here. The venue says he canceled everything. This has to be a mistake, right?" "No mistake." "OMG, why?" "Ask Brooke about Derek. Radio silence for 20 minutes. Then she says, 'You're overreacting and ruining her life over nothing.'" Cool story. She's literally sobbing. Sucks to suck. The next wave came from Brooke's mom, Helen. 17 missed calls to Jordan's phone. She didn't have his number before, but apparently got it from someone. The voicemails were gold. This is ridiculous. The wedding is in 3 days. You tell that boy to answer his phone right now. We have family flying in from across the country. He's being a child. Brooke did nothing wrong. We're going to sue him for the deposits. Good luck with that, Helen. Everything was in my name. No, but here's where it gets really good. Around 11 p.m., Derrick himself started texting Jordan. How did all these people get his number? Bro, tell Tom this is all a misunderstanding. Brooke was just being nice because my dad's sick. Nothing was going to happen. He's really going to throw away everything over 2 nights. Tell him to be reasonable. Jordan just kept responding with, My guy, you literally texted the groom that you were going to spend 2 nights with his bride before the wedding. What did you think would happen? It's not like that. It's exactly like that. Brooke said he was cool with it. Does he seem cool with it? The best part, Brooke's cousin posted a video from the bachelorette party aftermath. Brooke was sitting on the bathroom floor of the bar, still in her bride-to-be tiara mascara everywhere while her friends tried to console her. Someone in the background said, maybe Derrick can help. And Brooks screamed, Derrick is why this is happening. So much for nothing was going to happen. Update 2, Thursday morning. The day Brooke was supposed to go to Derrick's for her first night of closure. I woke up to Jordan showing me his phone. Brooke had made a public Facebook post at 3 a.m. To everyone coming to celebrate our wedding this Saturday, it is with a heavy heart that I announce the wedding has been postponed due to Tom's mental health crisis. He's struggling with severe anxiety and paranoia, even making false accusations about me. I'm committed to standing by him through this difficult time as we get him the help he needs. Please keep him in your prayers. Mental health crisis, paranoia, too could play at that game. I made my first and only public response. Posted the screenshot of her original text about Derrick, followed by no mental health crisis, no paranoia. Brooke informed me she'd be spending the 2 nights before our wedding with her ex-boyfriend. I wished her well and canceled the wedding. Simple as that. Also, Derrick's dad isn't sick. He posted photos from his golf tournament yesterday. Do what you will with that information. The comments were instant chaos, but Thursday afternoon brought the real circus to town. Brooke showed up at Jordan's apartment with reinforcements. Helen, her dad, Roger, Gretchen, and Derrick. They actually brought Derrick. Jordan filmed it through his Ring doorbell with my permission to share. Helen immediately started. Thomas Reed, you open this door right now. We need to discuss this like adults. Son, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but you're going to fix this. Do you know how much we've spent? Tommy, please. You're not being rational. Just talk to me. Derrick, this absolute clown goes broke, come on. Don't do her like this. Jordan's voice through the speaker. Did you seriously bring the dude she was going to spend 2 nights with to convince him to take her back? Silence, then Brooke. It wasn't like that then. What was it like? I needed to make sure there were no unresolved feelings before I got married. And were there longer silence? That's irrelevant. It's extremely relevant. Roger tried a different approach. Look, we have 150 guests coming. The rehearsal dinner is tomorrow. You can't do this. He already did. Then Derrick tried to step up. If I could just explain to Tom man to man. My brother, you are literally the last person who should be here right now. Gretchen finally spoke up. Brooke, maybe we should go. Brooke lost it. No, he doesn't get to do this. He doesn't get to humiliate me like this. Tommy, I know you're in there. You're being pathetic. You're going to regret this for the rest of your life. I was doing you a favor by marrying you. A favor. There it was. Anything else, Ellen? We're going to make sure everyone knows what kind of person he really is. Cool. Tom already posted the receipts. Anything else? They stood there for another 10 minutes, making threats before building security showed up and escorted them out. But the Thursday night update was the best. Brooke went to Derrick's apartment anyway. Posted a story from his couch with wine glasses visible. Sometimes the universe shows you where you're really meant to be. Guess the wedding being cancelled didn't affect those closure plans. Update 3. Friday morning started with a call from the country club where the rehearsal dinner was supposed to be. Brooke was there with Helen demanding they honor the reservation even though I'd cancelled it. The manager called me because I was the account holder. Mr. Reed, there seems to be some confusion. Miss Patterson is here insisting the dinner is still happening. There's no confusion. It's Connell. She's saying she'll pay for it herself. That's fine, but it needs to be a new reservation. The Reed Patterson rehearsal dinner is cancelled. Understood. Oh, and sir, she asked us to charge your card for her new reservation. When we explained we couldn't do that, she became upset. I heard screaming in the background. Is that her now? I'm afraid so. She's demanding to speak to you. I'm good, thanks. Have a nice day. An hour later, Roger called from a different number. I'd blocked his. Tom, this is Roger. I'm at the country club. They're calling the police on Brooke and Helen. Is this really what you want? I want nothing. I'm just living my life. You're destroying hers. She made her choices over 2 nights. You're ending everything over a text about 2 nights. Roger. Did she tell you she posted from Derrick's apartment last night? After the wedding was already cancelled. Silence. Yeah, I saw that too. Still think I'm overreacting? He hung up. The rehearsal dinner aftermath was documented beautifully on social media by the gossip-loving cousin. Apparently, Brooke and Helen tried to host an alternative celebration at a restaurant. 12 people showed up out of the 60 invited. Derrick was one of them. He sat next to Brooke. Her own sister left when she saw that. But Friday night was legendary. Brooke decided to do a live video on Instagram. Wine drunk, crying, the whole thing. I just want everyone to know the truth. Tom is painting me as some cheater, but I never cheated. I was just trying to get closure. Derrick and I had unfinished business, and I wanted to enter my marriage with a clean slate. Tom said he was fine with it. Someone commented, "Girl, you're literally at Derrick's apartment right now." She tried to move the camera, but everyone had already seen Derrick's distinctive wall art. It's not. This isn't. We're just talking. Another comment. Didn't you say Tom was having a mental health crisis this morning? He is. He's crazy. Who cancels a wedding over a text? Comment. Someone whose fiancé told them she was spending 2 nights with her ex. Brooke started ugly crying. You don't understand. Derrick and I have history. Tom never understood that connection. Someone screen recorded the whole thing. The video ended with Derrick trying to take her phone away and saying, "Babe, you're making it worse, babe." Update 4. I woke up at the resort in the mountains. Yeah, I went on a solo trip instead. Peaceful, beautiful, no drama. Jordan kept me updated though. The venue had apparently become a circus. Despite everything being cancelled, about 30 guests showed up because Brooke and Helen had been telling people it was just postponed and to come anyway. Bork, a celebration of love. The venue was hosting a different event, a corporate retreat. So there were Brooke's confused relatives in formal wear, wandering around while tech bros had their team-building exercises. Helen tried to strong-arm the venue into giving them a space. The venue manager called the police again. Brooke's sister, Diana, the one who left the rehearsal dinner, texted Jordan. This is insane. Mom and Brooke are trying to convince people Tom had a psychotic break. Meanwhile, Brooke's been at Derrick's since Wednesday. Dad found out Derrick's been divorced twice and owns nothing. No house, no car, nothing. But Brooke's acting like he's her soulmate. I'm so embarrassed. The plot twist. Derrick's sick dad, who started this whole thing. He showed up at the venue because he thought his son was getting married. Derrick had apparently told him that when he found out the truth that Derrick had broken up an engagement and his supposed cancer was being used as a lie, he lost it in front of everyone. You told people I had cancer to sleep with an engaged woman. I raised you better than this. Brooke tried to intervene. It's not his fault. Tom overreacted. Derrick's dad turned to her. You're engaged to another man and spending nights at my son's apartment. You're both trash chefs. Sorry, I mean perfect timing. Saturday night, Brooke tried one last desperate play. She showed up at the apartment we used to share. She still had her tea because I'm not on the lease. I'd just been paying half the rent. She texted me a photo of her in her wedding dress. The wedding dress, standing in what used to be our bedroom. This could have been our night. I'm here if you want to talk, I replied. You should check your email. I'd sent her notice that I'd already informed the landlord I'd moved out and wouldn't be paying next month's rent. She couldn't afford it solo. You can't do this, did it? Good luck with everything. Where am I supposed to live? Derrick seems comfortable. She sent 43 voice messages. I didn't listen to any of them. Final update. The fallout has been spectacular. Brooke and Derrick are officially together. They moved in together after she got evicted. She couldn't make rent into his studio apartment in his mom's basement. Yeah, Helen and Roger are getting divorced. Turns out Roger was furious when he learned. The truth about Derrick not being some successful guy Brooke painted. Him as. He also discovered Helen had been encouraging the whole closure thing because she thought Derrick had money from a settlement. When Roger confronted her, Helen admitted she'd never liked me because I wasn't ambitious enough. I'm a software developer making 6 figures, but okay. Roger sent me an apology email. Tom, I'm sorry. I failed as a father. I should have raised her better. You dodged a bullet? I wish I had your courage to walk away. Derek's dad reached out too. Kid, I'm sorry my son is a disappointment. You seem like a good man. His mother and I are cutting him off until he grows up. The best part, Brooke's been trying to plan a wedding with Derek. She called the same venue to book it. They declined. She tried 3 other venues in the area. Turns out they all have a blacklist for problematic clients. And Helen's 2 police incidents got them on it. Her cousin, the one who kept posting everything, told Jordan that Brookie's been complaining that Derek won't propose. He keeps saying, "We don't need a piece of paper, and what we have is beyond marriage." She threw a fit at Thanksgiving when Derek mentioned he doesn't believe in marriage anymore after his 2 divorces. According to Diana, Brooke screamed, "You ruined my life for nothing." Derek's response, "I thought you loved me for me." "Not for a wedding. They're still together miserably from what I hear." She keeps trying to make it look perfect on social media, but people have caught Derek on dating apps. She pretends not to know. "As for me, I'm doing great. Got promoted at work. Turns out not having wedding stress improved my performance. Started dating Elise from my rock climbing group. She thinks the whole story is hilarious and says she would have done the same thing. We're taking things slow. No rush, no pressure, no ex-boyfriends needing closure. Funny thing, I ran into Gretchen at a coffee shop last week. She apologized for her part in everything. Said Brooke had been texting Derek for months before that Wednesday, planning their closure nights. She'd even bought special lingerie for it. Gretchen had tried to talk her out of it, but Brooke was convinced I was too much of a pushover to do anything about it. Guess she was wrong. The red flags were everywhere. The way she'd compare me to Derek constantly. How she'd text him just as friends, but hide her phone. The time she said I was lucky she chose me during an argument. The wedding would have been a mistake. The divorce would have been expensive. The text about Derek was a gift. Really. Oh, and last week Derek's ex-wife reached out to me on social media. Heard what happened. Welcome to the club of people who escaped that train wreck. BTW. He'll cheat on her within 6 months. He cheated on me with 3 different women. I told her not my circus anymore. And it's not. It's really, really not. Edit for everyone asking. Yes, I got some deposits back. The photographer was cool about it and refunded 50%. The cake lady felt bad and gave back everything except the materials cost. The venue and catering kept theirs as per contract. Worth every lost penny for my freedom. Edit 2. Stop asking for Elisa's climbing gym info. That's weird. Also, Brooke, if you're reading this, Derek's on Bumble as of yesterday. Diana sent screenshots. Have fun with that.